Greetings, students. Welcome back to the chapter The Summer of Beautiful White Horse. We will continue with this summary and question and answers. Now, Aram recalls of an experience. He's an he was 9 years old years, and the world of Aram at that time seemed to be delightful and joyous. Murad, whom everybody considered crazy, came at 4 in the morning and woke Aram up because he he had bought a white horse, and they wanted to ride this horse. Now Murad was sitting on a beautiful white horse, and Murad asked him to be quick if he wanted to ride. Now Aram had always longed to ride a horse, but they were very poor. They couldn't afford a horse. Okay. Now the next thing, we have the Garogalian family. Okay, the Gargolian family children. mm, it's actually was very poor. They had no money. Their whole tribe was poverty stricken, but most important of all was that they were famous for their honesty. From a long time they had built up a reputation of being proud and honest, and they would never even take advantage of anyone. Okay, now Aram's explanation about the white horse. Aram asked Murad if he had stolen the horse. Now Murad called him out instead of answering. Aram was sure that the horse was stolen, as they were both very crazy about riding a horse. Now, to console himself in a childish manner, Aram thought that the stealing a horse for a ride was not the same as stealing something like money. So it wouldn't have been stealing until they had offered to sell the horse. They did not think that they had stolen a horse. Now, Aram could not resist the offer when Murad told him to jump on the horse. Okay. Now Aram got ready and jumped out of the window as they lived on the boundary of the town on Walnut Avenue, and there was the vast countryside full of orchards, vineyards, and irrigation ditches nearby. Now, in a few moments, both Aram and Murad were having a wonderful time riding the horse. Now, Murad started singing out of excitement and enjoyment. Now, children, let us continue the family crazy streak. Okay? Murad was considered the natural inheritor of the crazy streak of this tribe. Before Murad, Uncle Khosrow was considered as crazy in the family. Khosrow had a powerful head of black hair and the largest moustache in the San Joaquin Valley. Now, Murad was considered a crazy boy, though his father, Mr. Zorab, was a practical man without having any crazy streak. Now, Aram rides the horse alone. After enjoying the horse ride together, Murad wanted to ride the horse alone. Murad kicked the horse and started running. Now, after 5 minutes, Murad stopped. Now Aram wanted to ride the horse alone. Murad was not sure that Aram could ride the horse alone, as he did not know that how to control a horse. Now, children, Aram leaped on the back of the horse and for a moment felt a fear like he had never felt before. He kicked into muscle of the horse, then it started running. Instead of running across the field, the horse ran into vineyard and leaped over 7 vines before Aram fell. Okay. Now Murad came running as he was worried about the horse. He wanted to get hold of the horse and take him back before anyone could see. The horse got lost. Both of them searched for the horse in different directions. It took half an hour for them to find it. The boys decided to hide the horse. It was morning and Murad was thinking either to take the horse back or hide it until the next morning. Aram concluded that Murad was going to hide it. Aram again asked Murad if he had stolen the horse. Murad avoided answering the question. He told Aram to tell everyone that they started riding the horse that very morning if somebody found out. Now they took the horse to the deserted vineyard of the farmer named Fitwazin and hid it in the barn. Now John Byro's sadness over his missing horse. In the afternoon, Uncle Khosrow came to Aram's house for coffee and cigarette, right? And then another visitor arrived, a farmer named John Byro. He said that his white horse, which was stolen the previous month, was still missing and untraceable. John Byro also explained that his carriage was no good without a horse and he had to walk 10 miles to reach there. Now, Aram informed Murad about John Byro. Aram went to Murad and informed him about John Byro's visit. He further informed Murad that he had not returned the horse until Aram had learnt riding. Now, Murad replied that it would take him a year to learn and they could not keep a horse for a year, uh, as it would amount to stealing. Finally, they decided to return it after 6 months to its true owner. Every morning for 2 weeks they rode the horse. Every time the horse threw Aram and ran away. But Aram kept his hope alive and hoped to ride the horse away. Murad rode. One morning they were on their way to vineyard when they encountered John Byro. He inquired about the name of the horse with them. Now Murad said that the name of the horse was My Heart. John Byro kept observing the horse very keenly. Now children, Aram informed Murad about John Byro. Aram went to Murad and informed him about John Byro's visit. He further informed Murad that he should not return the horse until Aram had learnt riding. Now Murad replied that it wouldn't take him a year to learn and they could not keep a horse for 1 year, as it would be amount to stealing. So finally they decided to return it after 6 months to its true owner. Every morning for 2 weeks they rode the horse. Every time the horse threw Aram and ran away. But Aram kept his hope alive and hoped to ride the horse the way Murad rode. Now, one morning they were on their way to the vineyard when they encountered John Byro. He inquired about the name of the horse with them. Now Murad said that the name of the horse was My Heart. So John Byro kept observing the horse very keenly. Now the boys decided to return the horse. The farmer looked into the horse's mouth and found that the teeth matched those of a stolen horse. He said that he could swear that the horse was his if he didn't know their parents and the fame for their family for honesty. But the horse appeared to be the twin of the stolen horse. Early the following morning, the boys took the horse to John Byro's vineyard and left it there. The dogs followed them silently, and Aram thought they would bark. Now Murad said that he had a way with the dogs and that's why they did not bark. That very afternoon, John Byro came to narrator's house and he was very happy and thanked God. His horse had become stronger and better tempered. Uncle Khosrow again shouted at him to be quiet as his horse have been returned. Now children, let us do the question and answers. Okay? Now see, children, you will probably agree that this story does not have breathless adventure and exciting action. Then what is your opinion? What in your opinion, makes it interesting? Now, the story, The Summer of Beautiful White Horse, is a tale told from the viewpoint of a 9-year-old boy, that is Aram. At that age, imagination is rich, right? Curiosity, your imagination is rich, and no one can romanticize even insignificant action. To such a person, the world is full of excellence and glory, and life is delightful and a mysterious dream. Now, for the young poor boy, a ride on a beautiful white horse is a dream fulfilled. He had been always longing, जो उसकी इच्छा थी, to ride, and his cherished dream is realized when his cousin Murad offers him a chance to ride on a horseback, right? First with him and then alone. तो पहले उसके साथ, मुराद के साथ, और फिर alone. Riding the stolen horse and hiding it safely are great feats of adventure for the two boys. Now, though the storyline is thin and we eagerly follow the course of action taken by the boys till they return the house to its rightful owner, the story provides a peep into child psychology. For boys who are crazy about horses, stealing a horse for a ride is not stealing. Though they enjoy the thrill of riding, they are conscious of their family pride. The Garogalian family is well known for honesty and trust. They would neither steal The Gargolian family is well known for its honesty and trust, as we have already, talked about it. They would neither steal nor take advantage of anybody in the world. Now, another point of interest is characterization. The delineation of the common traits of Uncle Khusro and cousin Murad is superb, right? The story also contains many purple passages full of pictorial description. All these highlighting its appeal to the reader. Now let's move to the next question. It says, did the boys return the horse because they were conscience stricken or because they were अफ्रेड? कॉन्शियस मीन जो उनकी अंदर की फीलिंग होती है चिल्ड्रन, क्योंकि क्या वो चोरी करा तो था ही उन्होंने हॉर्स को, बट क्या वो उनका कॉन्शियस उनको बोलता कि तुमने चोरी करी है, या वो डरे हुए थे? द स्टोरी गिव्स नो इंडिकेशन दैट द बॉयज वर अफ्रेड ऑफ एनीथिंग और एनीवन, है ना. हेंस द रिटर्न ऑफ द हॉर्स वॉज नॉट डायरेक्टेड बाय फियर. सेकेंडली, दे वर नॉट एट ऑल कॉन्शियस स्ट्रिकन ऑल्सो. तो ना तो वो डरे हुए थे, ना उनकी कॉन्शियस को स्ट्राइक किया गया था. They did not feel any pangs of repentance or remorse. Pangs of repentance means उनको कोई रिमोर्स या दुख नहीं था कि हमने कुछ गलत चीज़ करी है. At their action of stealing a horse solely for the purpose of riding it. उन्होंने बोला स्टीलिंग का मतलब अगर हम उस हॉर्स को बेचते तो वो स्टीलिंग होती, बट वो बोली हमने तो चोरी नहीं करी है. क्यों? सिर्फ हमको अपने के लिए, अपने फ़ायदे के लिए करना है, हमें सिर्फ हॉर्स को राइड करना है. ठीक है. द नरेटर मेक्स इट एन एम्पल क्लियर. ठीक है. एम्पल मीन्स क्रिस्टल क्लियर व्हेन ही asserts that stealing a horse for a ride was not the same as stealing something else such as money. ठीक है. तो उन्होंने बोला कि stealing a horse is not same as stealing a money. So for him, it wasn't stealing at all, as he and Murad were so crazy about horses. In his opinion, it would become stealing only when they offered to sell the horse, which he knew they would never do. ठीक है. तो अगर वो सिर्फ ये बोलते हैं कि कौन सा चोरी, अगर चोरी तब कंसिडर होती अगर वो पैसे चुराते, बट उन्होंने तो घोड़ा चुराया है. तो चिल्ड्रन, इसी ओपिनियन में वो कहते हैं कि उन्होंने चोरी नहीं करी है. ठीक है. या अगर वो घोड़े को बेचते तो चोरी मानी जाती. राइट. द लास्ट फ्रेज गिव्स अ क्लू टू द मेंटल मेकअप. Murad had the horse for over a month when farmer John Byro visited the narrator's house. They retained it for 2 weeks more. ठीक है, एक महीना और उसके बाद 2 वीक और वो अपने पास रखते हैं. मुराद outrightly rejected the narrator's suggestion of keeping the horse any longer. It was his family pride that would not let him steal. He decided that the horse must go back to its true owner. So they decided that the horse must go back to its true owner, okay, to John Byro. The meeting with John Byro proved conclusion. He praised the family for its honesty. He trusted the boys as he knew his parents, right? And hence, in order to uphold the family tradition and reputation, the boys returned the horse to its rightful owner. Okay, children. Now let's come back to question number 3. It says, one day back, there were good old days when I was 9 and the world was full of very imaginable kind of magnificence, and life was still a delightful and mysterious dream. The story begins in the mood of nostalgic. Now nostalgic मतलब जब हम पुरानी चीज़ों को याद करते हैं, nostalgia या nostalgic. Okay, can you can you narrate some incident from your childhood that might make an interesting story? Now you can actually make some of the what do you call it, you can actually answer this yourself, but let me, what my suggestion is, I've just put into like this. I had just completed my primary education when I visited my uncle. He was a forest ranger in Dehradun. So in those days there was a thick forest in the vicinity of the city, and all sorts of wild animals prowled here. Now, uncle had advised us not to enter the deep forest, but forbidden fruit is sweet. My cousin Varun, a couple of his friends, and I decided to explore the southern range. Now, it is, Dehradun, it's a dune and it is a valley. So, it has a southern range. It is kind of lower ranges of Himalayas. He had the kits of scouts and were fully prepared. In our boyish enthusiasm, we went deep into the jungle and reached a gorge. A gorge is actually a deep pitch. Okay, half it is cut or eroded by water. Okay, when we were amazed to see a lioness with the cubs. One of us, perhaps Mohit, clicked the picture in his camera. The flashlight scared the lioness and she roared and leaped. Fortunately, there was a big ditch and she fell into it. Meanwhile, we lit our torches, collected dry leaves and twigs, and set them on fire. Momentarily, we got respite from our attackers. Then we threw some green leaves on the fire to give smoke signal. A patrol party noticed it and rescued us. I shuddered whenever I think of this adventure when we were close to death. You can also include your own story, children. It is not necessary that you will actually copy our story, right? Now, the next question, it says the story revolves around characters who belong to tribe in Armenia, right? Murad and Aram are members of the Galian family, and now locate Armenia and Israel on the atlas and prepare a write-up on the Galian tribes. You may write about people, their names, traits, geographical and economic features as suggested in the story. Now, the Garogalian tribe, the Garogalian family was an Armenian tribe. 11 centuries ago, it was the wealthiest family in the part of the world. However, now every branch of the Garogalian tribe was living in most amazing and comical poverty in the world. These poor people had nobody. Nobody could understand where they ever got money enough to keep them with foods in their bellies. The Gargolian tribes are famous for their honesty. It had been the hallmark of their tribe for many centuries. They were proud of their family. Honesty came next, and then they believed in right and wrong. Now, none of them would take advantage of anybody in the world. No member of the Galian family could be the thief. The elders mm, pained to remember that they had lost their homeland. These people shifted their residence from one place to another. The narrator says that here we lived at the edge of the town on Walnut Avenue. They loved countryside, having vineyards, orchards, olives, and walnuts. The name of the people are semi-Arabic: Murad, Aram, and Kushrov. Now, students, students, let us continue with some small, very short questions. Okay, I couldn't believe what I saw. Says the narrator. What was so unbelievable and why? The narrator saw his cousin Murad sitting on a beautiful white horse. It was unbelievable, for they belonged to poor family, and buying such a beautiful horse was beyond their means. Now, what two character traits of Murad are hinted at by the narrator in the initial part of the story? Murad was considered crazy by everybody who knew him except the narrator. He was quite crazy about the horse, and secondly, he enjoyed being alive more than anybody else. Now, moving on to next question, question number 3. This was the part that wouldn't permit me to believe what I was. What part does the narrator hint at? The narrator refers to their poverty. They had no money. They lived in extreme poverty, and it was difficult to understand how they got food to satisfy their hunger. He frankly admits that every branch of Garogalian family was living in most amazing and comical poverty in the world. Now, question number 4. What traits of Garagolian family are highlighted in this story? Now, this is very important question, because see, in every question it is repeating. First, we talk about the honesty. See, the Garagolian family, though now poor, were famous for their honesty. Even they were wealthy. They were proud of their family first, honest next, and after that they believed in right or wrong. None of them would take advantage of anybody in the world. They would not steal. No members of the Garogalian family could be a thief. Okay. Why did the narrator react on seeing the horse and Murad? It says, how did the narrator? The horse was magnificent. Okay, magnificent, very splendor to look at. Gave out small smell, and its breathing was quite exciting. Yet it couldn't believe that the horse had anything to do with Murad, because he couldn't have bought it. The next question. What conflicting thoughts passed through the narrator's mind on seeing Murad on a beautiful white horse early one morning? Now, the narrator was surprised. He knew that his cousin Murad couldn't have brought the horse. Since he couldn't have brought the horse, he must have stolen it. However, family pride came in the way, and he refused to live that he had stolen. What feeling that the sight of cousin Murad and the horse arise in the narrator? The narrator stared first at the cousin and then at the horse. There was a pious stillness and humor in each of them, and he was delighted and as well as frightened. Okay, children. Next question. It was true then. He had stolen the horse. There was no question about it. He had come to invite me to ride or not, as I chose. How did the narrator convince himself to enjoy a horse ride and cousin Murad? It seemed to him that stealing a horse for a ride was not as same thing as stealing something else such as money. So since he and Murad were quite crazy about horses, it wasn't stealing. He convinced him with the thought that it would become stealing only when they offered to sell it. Now, moving on to next question. How did Aram, the narrator, fare in his solo ride? Aram leaped out to the back of the horse, but it did not move. Then he kicked into the muzzle of the horse. It reared and snorted. Then it began to run. Aram did not know how to ride. The horse ran down the road to the vineyard. It leaped over 7 vines, threw the rider, and ran away. Now, question number 15. Well, either take him back or ride him until tomorrow morning. Which course of action did the speaker take and why? Murad took the latter option. He hid the horse in the barn, that is not Bam, children, it's barn, of a deserted vineyard, which at one time had been the pride of the former farmer named Fedwazine. There were some oats and dry alfalfa in the barn, so Murad did not seem worried about the horse. Now, children, contrast the two visitors of narrator's house who visited them one afternoon. Uncle Kushro was irritable, impatient, and furious in temper. He stopped anyone from taking by roaring, "It's no harm, pay no attention to it." Now, children, Farmer John Byrow was a lonely Azarian. He was sad at the loss of his horse and useless of his surrey without a horse. What is a surrey? A surrey is a carriage which it is carried by the horse. Okay. Now, why did Uncle Khosrow react to John Byrow's complaint about the steal of his horse? Now, John Byrow was sad that his white horse, had stolen last month and it was missing even then. So, instead of showing any sympathy, Uncle Khosrow became very irritated and shouted, "It's no harm. What is the loss of the horse? What is the crying over horse?" Okay, now what arguments did John Byrow advise to prove the usefulness of a horse to a country dweller? Now, first, his surrey is the carriage, children, was no good without a horse. Second, he had to walk 10 miles to get there, and his left leg pained him. So, thirdly, the horse had cost him $60. A city dweller like Khosrow may not realize the importance of a horse. Now, why did farmer John Byrow stalk out of the house, slamming the screen door? Now, John Byrow visited the narrator's house. He was homesick, sad, and lonely. His horse had been stolen for over a month. Instead of showing him any sympathy or concern for his loss, Uncle Khosrow repeated his catchword, "It's no harm. Pay no attention to it." So when John Byrow talked about the cost of the horse, Uncle Khosrow commented, "I spit on money." This was too much for John Byrow to bear, and so he left the house in disgust. Now, question number 21. How did Murad help the wounded robin to fly? What does this incident indicate? Now, the narrator noticed Murad trying to cure the hint wing of a young robin which could not fly. It was talking to the bird. After some time, he threw the bird into the air. So the bird tried hard and almost fell twice. However, at last it flew away high and straight. So this indicates shows that in spite of having crazy streak, Murad was kind at heart and words gentle towards God's creature. What request did the narrator make to his cousin Murad about the horse? Why did he react to it? And what does it reveal? Now, the narrator requested his cousin Murad not to return the horse to John Byrow till he learnt to ride. So, Murad observed that it might take him a year. The narrator suggests to keep the horse for a year. So Murad shouted that he was inciting him to steal. So he declared that the horse must go back to its true owner. This shows his honesty and sense to family pride. Now, last question, children, second last question. Why did John Byro observed after studying the horse the two boys had with them? Now, the farmer studied the horse eagerly and asked its name. Murad said that they had called it My Heart. John Byro appreciated it as lovely name of the for a lovely horse. He was ready to swear that it was the horse that was stolen from him many weeks ago. Now, a suspicious man would believe in his eyes instead of his heart. In this context, was this observation made by whom? Now, this observation was made by John Byro after looking into the mouth of the horse. It matched his horse tooth by tooth. It would have claimed it as if his own horse, and it would had not known their parents for the frame of their family or honesty. The remembrance was so striking that he called it the twin of the horse. Now, question number 25. What do you think induced the boys to return the horse to the owner? The boys were impressed by John Byro's attitude towards their parents and family. He knew their family. He knew their family and parents very well, so he believed whatever the boys said. Secondly, the fame of the family for honesty was well known to him. The boys returned the horse to him for the sake of family's pride and dignity. Thank you, students. Thank you for watching this video.